A heartfelt thank you for all the delegates who have been working tirelessly on the revised text. My name is Vlad Bauer, representing eLiberare, an organization working for over a decade with victims and survivors of GBV, specifically victims of trafficking, online sexual exploitation, and child sexual abuse. One voice that is significantly underrepresented at these negotiations is that of victims and survivors of the different crimes discussed, especially under Articles 13 and 15, the long-debated articles, I should say. We are working in 2024 on a framework that has been described over and over again as the floor, the bare minimum when it comes to safeguards. Allow me to revisit some points made during the week. Prevention has been mentioned repeatedly, and we agree that it does make more sense economically and to avoid re-traumatization. To achieve that, ensuring that services for victims are at a minimum gender and age appropriate, ideally also trauma-informed, holistic and comprehensive is critically important. Prevention and protection go hand in hand, distinguished delegates. Several mentions were made of victims of cybercrime. Distinguished delegates, the victims covered under Articles 13 through 15 are actually victims of sexual violence, victims of GBV, and/or victims of human trafficking and exploitation. We are also very concerned about the lack of safeguards referring to adult victims, specifically by the suggestion of putting the burden of proving victimhood on those who have faced enormous and significant trauma. The classification of victimization grants someone access to their rights and protections. Therefore, the thresholds this convention establishes have to be very well thought out. Extensive debates were also on the reference to in cooperation with relevant stakeholders. A kind reminder that in a lot of countries, services for the aforementioned victims are almost exclusively provided by the third sector, be it NGOs, civil society organizations, or volunteer organizations. Lastly, we welcome provisions that target the financing and profiting from sexual abuse material. However, we express the concern regarding vagueness or a broad scope, as it could allow even for the targeting of mandatory reporters or service providers. A more narrow focus is needed for any such provision to be effective. Distinguished delegates, we have failed victims of GBV, of sexual violence, and of trafficking in human beings for too long. Please don't allow for that to happen again, as you are navigating some very sensitive topics that impact us all. Thank you.